I learned that we're both first oldest children.
Yeah, firstborns in the house. I tell my sister all the time, she owe me 10% of what she get. Look, mama couldn't be mama without me. Yeah. The mistakes she made with me, she made better with you. Yep. So you owe me 10% of whatever you do.
Hi, I'm County Executive Sara Innamorato, and today I'm joined by my friend, former State House colleague, and Pittsburgh Mayor Ed Gainey. Like me, Ed is a lifelong Pittsburgher who has dedicated his career to public service, from advocating for working families in the State House to leading our city from the City-County building. Born and raised in East Liberty, Mayor Gainey has seen firsthand the challenges our communities face and has worked tirelessly to make Pittsburgh a place where everyone belongs and has the opportunity to thrive. Mayor Gainey, thank you so much for coming to my office.
Hey, thank you. It's beautiful over here.
Thank you.
County Exec.
First things first, who do you think has a better office?
You.
He just has to say that because
I think your office is more modern than the City-County building.
Yeah. Yours is beautiful. It's pretty grand.
Yeah.
You know what I really like about your office?
What's that?
The art that you have.
We do got some beautiful
art.
You got
some really nice art.
Yeah, we got beautiful art.
Yeah. So we're here, it's Black History Month, and so what comes to mind when you think about Black history in the context of Pittsburgh and Allegheny County?
Yeah, it means a lot. It means a lot. I always look at it through the lens of civil rights. There's a lot of people that served in the civil rights movement that gave us an opportunity to sit here together. To me, the number one was like a father figure to me, Harvey Adams. Harvey Adams was someone that he stood on the front line, even if he didn't do it by himself, in order to make sure that African Americans had equality in the city. Harvey was a president of NAACP and a cop. So he had that contrast and a distinct pleasure of being able to serve in both capacities. You also think about like Elma Speed Fox and what she did for women, black women in this city, to make sure that they had a voice. You talk about people that they didn't have college degrees, but they had political degrees like Doc Fielder and Bubby Harrison, and the things they did to move politics forward in this city. You also could look at like the Jake Malines and others that came before Jake that really helped move this city in a direction that gives us the ability to be able to celebrate the historical people in the city that move human rights. I want to say human rights as well as civil rights forward. So there's a lot that I can talk about in regards to that. Nate Smith and what he did to make sure that African Americans can get jobs and can get into the union. There's a lot that I can sit here and talk about. Burr Brown, one of the first ones to run for mayor in this city. One that was a lawyer, much more qualified than I was coming in. He already had his law degree. He was in the politics. He was in the struggle for civil rights. He was in the struggle for integration. He did all this, but at a time where the city wouldn't receive him as an African American. So it's people like that that really have poured into me through the years, or who I studied that was African Americans, that demonstrated that there's always a way.
So speaking of Black history, you've made history here in Pittsburgh as the first Black mayor of our great city that we both share and love very dearly. So talk to me about how that has shaped your work and your approach as mayor of Pittsburgh.
I think it's really a shape. Let me start with me as a person. Is that when I'm talking to a lot of younger African Americans, male and female, that they believe that they can achieve, they believe they can reach a certain level. You can only achieve for what you see. If you're not exposed to a certain quality of life, then you'll always live the quality of life that you know. So when I'm talking to young African American male and females, and I'm discussing with them their possibilities and the fact that there is no cap, there is no limits. You can go as far as you want to go if you're willing to do a couple things. If you're willing to sacrifice for the journey. And sacrificing for the journey means that, are you able to deal with the pain that comes with the joy? You have to be able to deal with that. I don't want nobody to think getting into any profession or destiny or whatever they've been called to do, that you're not going to reach hard times. And you have to learn how to make adversity your friend. You can't do this job without making adversity your friend. You can't do this job if you're not willing to go through the down times in order to get to the up times. It's just something that you have to do. That's number one. That's really number three. And then number two for me is the fact that you have to learn to believe in yourself. And I think the hardest thing for young people to do is to believe in themselves, particularly when you're coming from low-income, underserved communities. You haven't seen anything. So it's hard to believe that you can achieve if you've never seen it. And I think just getting them to understand the value of themselves. Like, I tell these young kids, You know, you guaranteed to grow old, you just ain't guaranteed to grow up. Yeah, growing up is a choice. You know, for me, I became an adult at 21, but, you know, Sarah, I didn't become a man until I was 29. And if I wouldn't have had my oldest daughter, my change of life baby, it may have never happened. So I understand. And then number one, you have to have a faith greater than yours. You know what I mean? I'm not here to tell you what religion to study or anything like that, but you have to have a faith greater than yours. You have to understand that there's a purpose and a destiny in everybody's life. And in order for you to fulfill that purpose or destiny, you have to have a certain level of faith that even through hard times, you're still going in the right direction. Mm-hmm. And you don't know where it's going to end up, but if you keep the faith, it's always going to be that you go up.
Yeah. So speaking of faith
mm-hmm.
and who keeps you going each
mm-hmm.
and every day, who are some mentors or
mm-hmm.
figures from history that inspire you to get up and do this work every day?
You know, so let me talk about it from the national, then I'll bring it in something closer. I think my study of Frederick Douglass in college was big. Mm-hmm. I think understanding Frederick Douglass and what he stood for and the amount of torment, the amount of negativity that he had to go through to stand up and still talk about why slavery was wrong, and still fight and still become educated is a powerful testimony. To be able to do it at a time where, you know, he was seen as a troublemaker, but he was getting into good trouble. So I think for one, I would have to say Frederick Douglass. Two, I'd have to say Rosa Parks, because it took some courage not to get up. It took some courage as a black woman to say, I'm not gonna get up understanding the abuse you're about to take, particularly because of the fact that the abuse was gonna be dished out by people that you believe should serve and protect you. Mm-hmm. And so I think that whenever you stand up to that level of power, it demonstrates the authority that you have in yourself to say that I won't be treated like anybody, you're gonna treat me as somebody. I think the other one is Dr. King, because Dr. King was one that he spoke truth to power. He wasn't scared. He wasn't scared of being ridiculed, he wasn't scared of being beaten, he wasn't scared of the things that it was gonna take to move him forward. I think Harriet Tubman is another one, because Harriet Tubman was one that, you know, there was no turn back. If you turn back, you wasn't going back. Mm. So, you know, Harriet Tubman was one that was always going to move forward. I think locally, my uncle played a big part in my life in making sure that there was a certain level to let me know that I was cut from a different cloth and that at the end of the day, I can make things happen. Just being able to endure the situations you have to endure and being first. I think that locally, my mom also being a single mom and watching my mom go through all that she went through, that rubs off on you. The positive and the negative, right? Mm-hmm. Because you watching a single mom go through a lot. Like you watch a lot. Mm-hmm. You know, you got a front row seat to her development and growth. You got a front row seat to where she slipped and got up. I had a front row seat to watch it all because I'm the oldest. Mm-hmm. So I had a front row seat. My grandma, because she was so strong, like she was strong. My wife, because my wife is my nurturer. She nurtures me. You know what I mean? She helps me in the evening when I come home. My kids, without them, I never want to see my kids watch me not give my all. Like what they see, they become. And if I want them to become anything, then see through me that even through any situation, I give my all. Mm-hmm. And at the end of the day, wherever my all falls, that's what it is. So for me, it's a mixture of both.
Yeah. Yeah, so you have a lot of figures historically and some folks that keep you here in your family.
Right. Plus, I don't get high off the title. Like, I was never one that got high off of any title.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't introduce myself as the mayor. I'm Ed Gainey. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? That's who I am. And so I don't get high off titles. I've had many titles, but the title that'll stay with me for life is Ed Gainey. Yeah. And so I don't get high off the titles. A lot of people do. They love the titles. They can't have enough titles. You know, titles is what moved them. For me, titles don't move me. Mm-hmm. Me is how do we build relationships to make sure that we're creating opportunity for others. As long as we continue to do that throughout the course of history, that's what moves worlds to where they're supposed to be.
I learned that we're both first oldest children.
Yeah. So it's the front seat.
There's something about oldest
is heavy,
children.
Ain't it? Yeah. I tell my sister all the time, she owe me 10% of what she get. Look, mama couldn't be mama without me. Yeah. That's the truth. Mama could not be mama without me. Yeah. I'm the guinea pig. I'm what made mama. I seen mistakes that you didn't have to see.
Yeah.
The mistakes she made with me, she made better with you.
Yep.
So you owe me 10% of whatever you do. Am I right about that? Think about it. Think about it now.
I mean, yeah. We'll be here all day if we start talking about family dynamics.
But it's real, right? But Sarah, it's real. It's real.
It is, and I appreciate. I appreciate, and I'm sure people listening appreciate that you've shared a part of you, and that's a vulnerable place to be. But it's also a place that allows people to connect on a human level with you. And I know one thing that's really important for you is inspiring our next generation. So what is your message to the next generation of Black leaders that are currently being raised here in Allegheny County?
Yeah, so be thankful for the adversity you got at a young age. When you coming from neighborhoods like I come from, it took me a long time to understand to be grateful for the adversity I had to overcome at an early age.
Yeah.
And I want these kids to understand that most of the adversity that they go through at an early age, most people don't go through until they're in their 30s. So if you don't let the pain of the adversity drown you right now, then you're already being prepared for greatness. If you can understand that at an early age, you've overcome some tests that people don't overcome to the 30s and 40s, you're ahead of the curve. And then the other thing I tell them is be a student of life. It's not just about going to school to get an education, it's going to school to learn how to be a student. We all have a destiny and a purpose. And the only way you're going to ever live that destiny and purpose is if you become a student of life. See, we keep telling them to become a student of education. Well, I can testify to this. I don't remember algebra. I don't remember geometry. But what I remember is what I've been purposed to do, and that's politics. I remember because I'm a student of it for life. I remember it's because of something I study every day. But if I wouldn't have learned how to become a student, then I wouldn't be able to walk out my destiny. So I tell all these kids that at the end of the day, learn to be a student and do something that I didn't do. You know what I mean? It took me a long time to realize that America serves two masters, democracy and capitalism. And we walk around with a poverty-stricken mindset. You could be a teacher or an elected official and still be living check to check because you don't understand capitalistic tools. You don't understand why a will is important, why life insurance is important, why real estate is important, why taxes is important. You don't understand the tools that make money overnight, why they so important. So while you still may have a title of a profession, you still have a mentality that is poverty, so you still live in check to check. If we're going to change the way these kids see life and see their life as an investment and not a spending machine, then we have to be able to teach them the capitalistic tools that removes the mindset of poverty.
Great. Well, thank you, Mayor Gainey, for joining me.
Appreciate it. Thanks for having me.
Of course.